New on Curiosity Stream. She was a loving wife, a devoted mother. She also stole atomic secrets and gave them to the Soviets. Meet the woman whose deception kick-started the Cold War on the spy who stole the atom bomb. And
what if they catch you?
Then I shall be shot.
They're coming! Come back!
relive history's most death-defying escapes. It's Impossible Escapes, Civil War. Watch now on Curiosity Stream. Annual plans are $20, just $1.67 a month. Visit curiositystream.com.
This podcast is brought to you by the Washington State Department of Health. When we think about the COVID-19 vaccine hesitancy in the Black community, let's remember, it didn't happen by chance. It's justified in history. But the will to change the narrative is strong today, and our people are lending their voices to the conversation. We're sharing our stories and the reasons that made us choose the vaccine so we can lead the way for others to make a well-informed choice too. To hear our stories, visit hereforuswa.org.
What's up? It's your boy, The Ted Smith. Thanks for listening to the Men's Room Daily Podcast. Want more? Check out the greatest podcast in all the land, The Podcast. Be sure to subscribe and listen to a brand new episode every Tuesday night.
The debauchery rolls on. You're listening to the Men's Room with Miles and Thrill. 99.9 KISW.
Speaking of rules, here are some crazy house rules people had to live by. The TV-less Sunday, one of those. House had a no TV Sundays rule where we could not watch anything between the hours of 6 a.m. and 6 p.m.
I have two questions about that. One, do you think that was implemented in the fall, or do you think it was a family that did not enjoy football?
I believe that was a religious family.
Okay.
That would be, it's a day of rest, and I would guess that would be the rules that were implemented.
But I'm with you. They can't be sports fans.
Mm-hmm. You cannot be.
Yeah.
I mean, we go back to early mass, right?
Yeah. Some are pretty entertaining. My parents were pretty strict, and we had a lot of different rules growing up. The weirdest one was no country music. Seriously. My dad grew up in a small town in Idaho, and he hated anything country. My dad is not a man to mix many words until someone tries to blast country music in his house. And then there's the foot bath. If we've been outside wearing open-toed shoes, we had to wash our feet when we got back in. I still do it now as an adult. I hate the feeling of having dirty feet and hands. Our question, what was the most unique rule of the home growing up? 206-421-ROCK.
Hello, Holly. Welcome to the Men's Room.
Hola, gentlemen.
Hola.
So my unique rule growing up, I grew up in a log cabin that my parents built, and they had a log staircase going up with a nice sturdy banister. So every child going through that home growing up or friends visiting, it was a requirement that you did not take the stairs going down. You slid down the banister.
Of course.
I'd never been into any other home that it was a requirement you slide down the banister and have fun in my home.
Oh, wait. You're saying the rule in your house was that you slide down the banister?
Yep.
Oh.
So if you were a toddler, small child, you had an older child or adult walking you down so you could control the speed and the dismount until one child decided to climb up on the railing and slide down by herself and thudded at the bottom and was very proud of her dismount. We all thought she broke a leg or something, but she landed just fine.
Well, that's the inevitable conclusion to sliding down the banister. Now, being that that's how you grew up and that's the rule you knew it to be. So if you went to someone else's house and you were coming down the stairs, did you ever just throw your ass up on the banister and go zipping down?
Yeah, but then you learn real quick, you ask first, because not everybody's house is banister friendly.
Okay. All right. Yep. Some people don't want their banisters even touched.
What's that?
I said some people don't want you to touch their banister rail.
Oh, yeah, I grew up in homes, or I went to homes that you weren't even allowed to brush against the wall for fear of scuffing it. I'm like, man, your home's no fun. You need to come to my house.
Being that you lived
What's that?
I said, well, being that you lived in a log cabin, did you have any rule like that the wood box or the wood for a fireplace always had to be stacked and ready to go at all times?
Right, like all the precautions you'd have to take.
Oh, yeah. If they get below a certain point, we learned how to use a hatchet, split kindling. It's a good way to get out of discipline. If Mom said just wait till your father gets home, that means go out in the woods, restock what's next to the back door, make sure the kindling's full, and start stacking wood from the woods to the woodshed.
Look, man, how old were you when you first got your hatchet lessons?
Oh, I don't know, probably 8 or 9.
You don't realize, too, when you do that, and I do remember this as a kid, you bring the wood in from outside, whatever, and there was one area near the fireplace. It always had to be fully stocked. So, once it got down to a certain level, you had to come in and bring more wood in. But you would be sitting there the next day, and a wolf spider would crawl out of there the size of your head. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know the idea of, like, wanting to dry that stuff inside, but when you're bringing in, you're bringing half of nature in with
you. Oh,
you.
yeah.
Termites,
bugs, no, we always had a kindling. We always had a kindling box outside, so you'd take the hatchet or another piece of wood and thump the wood pile and then grab whatever you needed to start the fire.
Yep, we had to do that too. Keep the fire going, maintain the fire for hours.
But it's amazing to me, the rules we had as kids as far as how young you were when the rules got implemented. So, she's 8 using a hatchet. And I look at my kid and I'm like, he's pretty responsible. I still wouldn't feel comfortable yet, but... if you're a latchkey kid, especially, it's like preheat the oven. All these things we tell our kids not to even dream of doing. Don't touch this, don't do that. That was absolutely your responsibility before they got home.
Sure.
Pull this out of the fridge, cut it up, do this, start the oven, start a fire. I mean, and you're 8, 9 years old.
So I couldn't start a fire because we didn't have a fireplace.
Okay. Well, you can start a fire, just never be good.
But you're right. There was no issues at a young age, like putting stuff in the oven or...
Well, no.
Yeah, guys, light the pilot light. That's what they tell you. Like, hey, it's not lighting. My father, he's on the phone at work. He's like, Steve, I don't have a lot of time. What's the problem? I'm like, I don't get it. The oven won't turn on. Can you hear the gas? Yeah. Can you smell the gas? Yeah. He's like, all right, well, the pilot light. And again, you just follow his directions. But I'm 10, and you're sticking this thing in the hole. And that's always how it started. He's like, you still got your eyebrows? I'm like, I still got my eyebrows. He's like, all right, you did it right.
Yep. You put a hot coal into a can and put it in the garage, and your mom would, do you realize that you almost burned the entire garage down? Well, there was a couple hot coals, but you told me to take the ashes out. So, I mean, it's the next morning. Sorry.
I'm a child.
Right, I didn't know. What was the most unique rule of the home growing up? 206-421-ROCK.
Hello, Travis. Welcome to the men's room.
Hola.
Hola.
How we doing, guys?
Doing great. Thank you, sir.
Hey, so we had this one rule in the household that's actually really unique. It was called no slaps.
No slaps?
Yeah, so I'll explain the slaps to you real quick because we had 4 boys and 2 girls in the house, and we had this thing where you pull down your pants and you wiggle your hips and your little pee-pee goes back and forth real fast. Some people call it the wiggles. We called it the slaps.
Ah, okay.
And so, and we'd always do it. We knew we weren't supposed to do it, but with 4 boys, there was always someone dumb enough to do it, myself included. It was Christmas about 16, 17 years ago. We had Grandma and Grandpa and pretty much the whole family over. My older brother, here's my little brother, Eric, to run into the room and do the slaps. So he runs into the living room, and he says, Grandma, and then he just starts wiggling. And, we all agreed that it was a good rule to follow after that. They tapped his butt so hard, he had handprints welted on his backside. So
now,
it was a rule we suddenly all followed, but for the longest time we did not. If there was a sleepover, a family gathering, didn't matter what it was, somebody was going to run into that room and do the slaps.
Now, what was your grandmother's response?
Oh, for the longest time, she didn't come over. We didn't have family events at our house.
Really?
It was a long time. It was a very long time. Mom and Dad did not trust the boys to not be animals for the longest time. One of the funniest things in my entire life, looking back, my little brother running out there and saying, Grandma, and then wiggling his little pee-pee in front of everybody.
I think it's fun. But again, I don't know. It's one of those generational things where my parents, anything my kids do that piss me off, they find it hysterical. Right? Like whatever they've said, whatever little thing they've done, as a parent, you have to respond to this. And my parents are just laughing. And I'm like, listen, guys, the reason I'm even getting on my kid about whatever the situation is because this is how you
taught me,
raised me. It is in my head that this thing, not some horrible thing, but, the reason I even said something to him is because you pounded this into my head, and I'm responding, I think, nicer than you guys ever did. My dad's like, right, but that ship has sailed. This is your problem now.
Yeah.
And it's funny.
We didn't know it'd stick.
Right. It is. That's part of it. Like, they didn't know.
Dude, I mean, my cousins, I remember going over there, and my aunt and uncle were a lot stricter than my parents were. So you could only have, a soda.
All right.
So it was always a big deal, right? But now, when my niece and nephew were little, they'd go over there on any holiday, any day of the week, and my uncle would just pile them full of soda and cookies.
Yeah.
And they send them back home.
And they'd send them, let them puke there.
See, I also got to honestly ask my mother. I don't know, my daughter was maybe 2 years old. I actually had to pull my mother aside and be like, who is this man that looks like my father? She's like, he's always been that way. He just couldn't be that way with you. I was like, he's actually really nice,
funny. He was really, really nice and funny and cool to your brother.
No, my brother would agree with me. You know, we definitely.
Are you sure?
We definitely had the rules, but the difference is my brother listened. That's why my brother does what he does.
My brother and I had much different rules,
and I run my mouth for a living. But so these same things, now Dad's he's all huggy and funny, and he's like, "Look, man, he's like, I couldn't do that with you. I had to raise you and your brother. Raised you.
My day of being a D-bag's over.
Right,
that's just for you.
This is your problem.
That's your recipe. And the rules work so well that your brother now enforces them.
I know.
Yeah.
As a referee in the NFL.
Right. Well, someone posted a video of the mom in the house explaining her kitchen rules. There are, as you see, 2 hanging towels in the kitchen.
All right.
One is for the hands. The other is not, although she does not explain what the other is for.
Then why is it there?
I'm assuming to dry pots and pans. Or
That's what I would think.
You would think that, but you should specify that.
One cabinet has glasses for drinking, but the other glasses are just there to be pretty.
That's not her quote.
So she has a glass that you actually use, and then she has the glass-fronted cabinets where the display glasses are. And so here's that video.
You guys, this towel is not for hands. That towel is for hands. Got it? These are the glasses you use to drink out of, and mugs. You don't use those. Those are just for pretty.
We can't drink out of those glasses?
No, they're for pretty.
Okay, here's
the
weird in my house. For pretty. We had candles in my house that were not allowed to be to be lit.
Mm-hmm.
They were strictly there for decoration.
Yeah, they're decorative candles.
They're just decoration. All right. You could never light these big candles.
They're
cool
the
candles.
equivalent of the corn thing you put up on your door like at Thanksgiving.
Right.
Like, no one's going to eat the corn. This corn is not for eating.
I always said, why did you buy a candle if we're not going to burn the candle? What if the power goes out, right? Can I light this candle? No, get a flashlight. Why the hell's this candle here?
I honestly did not know, and I'm not making.
I swear to God,
I didn't know the candles were for lighting. I understood.
I didn't know how sacred they were,
but I didn't know the candles for lighting until I became an adult.
I'm like, you burn them and you get another one, Mom.
Right, they're not particularly expensive.
Right? Like, why would you buy something if you're not going to use it? I mean, even when you need it, when the power goes out, why can't we light these candles now? Well, because that candle has holly in it, and my friend made it, and blah, blah, blah. I don't give a crap.
Was it harder to get candles?
I don't know. No. It's like some big candle.
They've had candles since the goddamn middle, since ancient Egypt, man. It's like they're candles. They're made out of wax with a wick in it.
My mom had enough candles to do a candle opera where you'd say there's 2,000 candles lit behind that organ.
But she won't light them.
But you can't light them.
I buy candles all the time. I can't tell you that. I don't know that I've ever bought like the tall, just whatever candle though.
Just the tall.
Right. Well, I don't have a candlestick. Now that I think about it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, there you go. Actually, one of the newer inventions, not new now, but just in my lifetime, it has come up, were the scented candles. It used to be if you lit a candle, it just smelled like a candle. And then when you blew it out, it smelled like an extinguished candle. Those are the only smells ever. Then all of a sudden, with like Yankee Candle Shop, and I started dating this chick, I did not know the Yankee Candle Shop existed. It's not on my radar, and I don't care. And to this day, I don't care. But I'm with her, we're at some mall or whatever, and she's like, oh, let me go in here. And in my mind, I'm like, Yankee Candle Shop, what are they selling there? Because certainly you can't have a store that survives just selling candles. Like, that's an impossible idea. And I walk in, and there's like 200 people in there smelling all these things. And
it smelled rather Scott Davies was a manager there, or Chesapeake Candle Company. But he would bring me all the previous year's models. So basically, when I had that apartment, I burned the wrong seasons. You know what I mean? Like, it might be summer and I'm burning pumpkin, but I got free candles.
You got free candles.
So that's the thing. Like, as soon as I moved out of my house into an apartment, the first thing I did, I started burning candles. Because I always wanted to burn candles. And I thought it was cool.
Well, that's what they're there for.
Burn candles, burn all that stuff. Like, it was like, to this day, I still burn candles.
Sure.
Only based on the fact that I was not really allowed to light candles growing up. So it's like, it's just ingrained in my head, like, I am just anti this, I'm
going to light a candle.
I'm burning candles. I'm 51. Tell me to stop.
I'm a man now.
I do it. I'm with you. I do it all the time with my candles. Like, my Christmas one just got done. But I, depending on the season, is that the flavor candle?
You're very seasonal with it, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like, your game is strong when it comes to it.
But that was one of those things, too. I remember, I think I was living with DB. And he was kind of particular that we only burned them on, the weekend. So now it's almost like, despite him, I'm like, I'll burn this any day.
It's Tuesday.
Yeah.
That's my Tuesday candle.
I mean, literally, I had that thought last night as I lit the end of it. It's like, I could save it till Saturday. That'll probably smell good. No, I was like, no, damn it. I'm going to burn this candle.
What was the most unique rule of the house you had growing up? 206-421-ROCK.
Hello, Chad. Welcome to the men's room.
Hola, bitches.
Hola.
So I pretty much grew up with just my dad and my brother, and nobody ever really wanted to do chores because we'd never get paid. My dad would always say that he didn't get paid to do it, so why should he pay us?
Mm-hmm.
So one exception to the rule would be doing laundry. If we ever found any kind of money in the laundry, it was ours to keep.
Okay.
Which meant that there was his money in his pockets.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, guaranteed. We were all too young to have any of our own money.
So did that encourage you to do the laundry?
I mean, yes and no. I mean, we still wanted to go out and play and do whatever, but as we would do the laundry, this is probably, the generation where, cash and checks were more prevalent than debit cards.
Right.
So we'd come across it a little more often. More often it would be change, but, here and there we'd catch some bills.
You know what, man? You forget. Do you have kids?
What's that?
I said, do you have kids?
I do got one kid right now.
Okay. Do you go through their pockets before you put their clothes in the washing machine?
She's only 1.5, so she's not really hiding much.
All right. Okay.
Now, you might be surprised what you find in her pockets, though.
And I'm sorry, I interrupted you. You said the one time. What happened now?
So I remember there was one time I had a shirt that it would always get super staticky going through the dryer. And I'm up on the dining room table where my dad and I are doing the laundry, and I go to shake the shirt, and a $50 bill hits the table.
Ooh.
And so my dad, noticing right away, jumps over it and snatches the $50 bill off the table because he's doing the laundry too, so he gets to keep it.
Well, I'm sure it was his anyway.
Oh, no kidding. So I'm kind of bummed out that I didn't snatch it up quick enough. Well, as I'm kind of going through doing the rest of it, I look on the ground. There's another 50 on the ground.
So you think he planted these things there intentionally?
I mean, maybe to some extent. I doubt he put $100 in there.
No, he did not. Maybe a $5.
Yeah, but here's the thing.
A 50, dude? Are you kidding me?
If I lose $100, I'm looking for $100 until I find $100, right? So if I notice in my wallet when $100 is missing, I am searching for that until I find it. If I lose $5, maybe it's in a pocket, whatever. Two $50 bills, like, man, I'm aware that first of all, I rarely have $50 bills.
Sure.
So if I lost two of them, I would know. I think he did that quite
my mom had the rule, if she washed it, it was hers. So she had a change little jar that she kept.
Yeah.
Had dollars in it. The thing that pissed my mom off more than anything else was the pack of gum you left in a jacket.
Gum's bad.
That you put in your pocket. The wads of paper that she would find. And so the rule was that if it went through the washing machine and she's doing the laundry, one way or another, you were either going to take care of the problem you created, but anything in there that she wanted, she confiscated. So with my kids, I made the rule, if you leave anything in your pockets and I wash them, they're mine. I took all their money.
I would too.
And look, I'm doing the laundry. You left the money in there. You knew you had $20 in there from your grandmother.
You
didn't remember to take it out. Guess what? I got $20. And I never told him. I just look, that's it. I told him one time.
I remember when I was 19, though. I went to Disney World with my aunt and uncle, and my aunt just decided on her own to do the laundry. Well, I'm 19, so it was legal, but I had a tin of dip in there. And they were giving me a hard time, and finally I went, I didn't ask you to do the laundry.
Right, if you grab my stuff...
Right, if you just grabbed it on your own, that's not on me.
Well, and I'm out of tin of dip, so come on.
Right, and it's Disney World. You
can't go buy dip in Disney World.
I don't think so. They don't even sell gum.
Were you out of... They don't sell gum?
I bet, no, because they don't want gum on the property. The same as your mom doesn't want gum in your pocket when she does a hot load of laundry.
I'm sure I know there's a gas station where you get beer and stuff, but the general little store by your place, no.
Wow. Walt Disney smoked. So I bet there was a time where you could go to Disneyland.
I'm sure there was.
And buy a pack of cigarettes that had Mickey Mouse in the front.
There was not a time in America where you could not smoke anywhere. I mean, my parents, from JFK, they still have it, but it was the presidential pack of cigarettes. Oh, yeah.
Oh, nice.
Right, it's unopened.
And matches.
And it has they got the matches, too. I've taken a few of those matches as the years went by, but the cigarettes, you never opened them. But, yeah, they're presidential cigarettes. I wonder who the last president was.
I had them from John F. Kennedy.
We had Kennedy as well. Who do you think the last president was to put it? Because, it's not going to happen these days, but you think Nixon, maybe Carter? Carter's from Georgia, right?
He wasn't a smoker.
He wasn't a smoker, but it was just part of the regular Mickey Mouse cigarettes.
They had him.
Wow.
That doesn't shock me.
They had him. See?
Look how happy Mickey is.
He does look great. Is he smoking?
He's not smoking, but it's his cigarette.
It's hard to smoke with 3 fingers. Doesn't it look like he got his... But
he's great in the bedroom.
I don't know, maybe his ring finger removed accidentally?
That is kind of
Mickey,
a bad
what the hell happened to your finger?
I don't know. You know what? I lost a bet.
Oh, damn.
Somewhere in Southeast Asia.
What was the most unique rule of the house growing up? 206-421-ROCK.
New on Curiosity Stream.
Just because it hasn't been done before doesn't mean you can't.
Watch Earth's greatest minds forge our path to a better tomorrow. It's engineering the future. And Jaws, Star Wars, The Godfather, E.T. The biggest movies have even bigger music. From King Kong to The Dark Knight. See how musicians scored Hollywood's greatest hits on great film composers' music of the movies. Watch now on Curiosity Stream. Annual plans are $20, just $1.67 a month. Visit CuriosityStream.com.
This podcast is brought to you by the Washington State Department of Health. When we think about the COVID-19 vaccine hesitancy in the Black community, let's remember, it didn't happen by chance. It's justified in history. But the will to change the narrative is strong today, and our people are lending their voices to the conversation. We're sharing our stories and the reasons that made us choose the vaccine so we can lead the way for others to make a well-informed choice too. To hear our stories, visit hereforuswa.org.
Oh, drat. I was driving along minding my own business when that vulgar leech hit my Beamer with his pickup truck. I fear I've fractured my clavicle.
I say, old boy, don't simply put it in the hands of your insurance company to sort it out. Talk with the dedicated road solicitors at the Advocates Law Firm.
Pipe down, you old sod. The Advocates will see your case through to the bitter end and won't sleep a fortnight until they have victory in their grasp.
Jolly good, old man. Jolly good indeed. You get injured, the Advocates get results. AdvocatesLaw.com.
The men's room is in progress. 99.9 KISW and KISW HD1 Seattle.
More of those crazy house rules. No lying on the couch. My dad hated any of the kids lying on the couch. If anyone lay down, he immediately said, go to bed or sit up. Couches are not for sleeping. Ironically, he slept on that couch for 16 years since we didn't have enough room for the 9 of us, so maybe he just didn't want us sleeping on his bed.
He did not want... If there's 9 of you, that's about him having his space. I mean, I'm pretty lenient about most things. I have 1 chair in the basement where if I'm going to watch football, it does not matter who's sitting there. Get out of my chair. And it's understood. Otherwise, whatever else you do, just that 1 chair, when I'm there, that is my chair.
Here's a cool one.
I will say, I am... Right, so obviously, you know me, I'm lenient about a lot of things. She's always like, don't you take my shoes off? No, this and that. But if you fall asleep on my couch, you can go use my bed, but there's no sleeping on the couch.
I agree with that. Like, if it's a social thing, like, bro, you got to be somewhere else.
Or even if it's just somebody else hanging. I mean, listen, if it's like a girl I'm dating, she can get to pass, right? But like mom comes to town.
That's what I was saying. It's not your girlfriend. It's your mom. Mom, go to bed.
Go to bed.
Go to bed.
Like if you came over and were sleeping on my couch, I'm like, Miles, just go to goddamn bed.
Right. Go home. But your mom, you're like, Mom, go to bed. You know what I mean? Like, seriously. I'm fine. I'm just resting my eyes.
I'm resting my eyes.
No, you're not.
You've been resting them for 8 hours.
Yeah.
They're relaxed. They're good.
Yeah, it's like, you're not obligated to watch the rest of it.
I'm resting my eyes.
To it.
Is that the blanket statement? I feel like I heard that statement from my mother, never my father. My father was straight up be like, yep, fell asleep. Mom, never sleep, not once.
Speaking of sleeping, there's the quiet kid rule. Guys, my dad worked nights and slept during the day, so I was not allowed to make a peep. I wasn't allowed to make any noise. My friends thought I was so weird that I tiptoed around the house and closed doors so softly. And then this is not a bad one. It's a rule known as the cleaning concert.
Okay.
All right. So my family always blasted loud music and cleaned the house on Saturday morning. So my sister and I got so used to it that when we ended up living together in college, we would still blast music on Saturday morning and clean our apartment. We even made each other and the roommate participate as well.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, put on some music and clean the place up. What was the most unique rule of the house growing up? 206-421-ROCK.
And it's better than what I do, which is I get stoned and clean the place. Well, my kids can't get stoned, so I would have to go with music. If we're all, but like if I'm vacuuming, like I'm probably high. because I don't feel like doing this. But when I get stoned, there's a certain weird precision in your mind. I will clean better than I ever would sober. Hello, Gary. Welcome to the men's room.
Weed and whiskey.
Hola!
How can you hear me?
Oh, you sound like you're talking through about 9 different face masks right now.
Oh, okay. Well, I have my microphone as close to the mask as my mouth is.
All right.
So, the funny rule nomination goes to my second sister. She's always allowed the adults in her house to imbibe in alcohol. Now that weed is legal, she forbids weed in her house, but she still allows alcohol.
Why did she forbid weed? I mean, she understands, like, if you get really drunk, something stupid happens, you get really high. Does she not like the smell? Does she still think it's evil?
I guess she still thinks it's evil now. It's none of us smokes or vaporizes because our mother smoked in the house growing up. We all hated it, so there's no smoking of anything. But I had proposed to bring some homemade cookies and other confections that I made from weed.
And was that allowed?
No, she said, please don't bring it.
Okay, so she still thinks it's evil then?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I mean, it's her house, her rules.
I know, but like, if you said, I don't like this.
I comply by bringing neither. I used to bring beer, now I don't bring any adult treats, nor do I imbibe in any when I'm at her house.
I would do it before you get there. Just look, I know I can't smoke on a plane, so what do I do before I get on a plane?
Smoke.
I suck down a couple when I'm out the terminal before I go in. I know for a fact that I can't smoke weed, but I might eat an edible before I get on the plane.
By the way, FAA, if you're listening, we understand that we can't smoke on the flight, and that's great. I know you got to bring it up at the beginning when you go through your spiel. Can you stop reminding us every hour and a half? You know what I mean? Like, now the flight has taken off. It was established at the top. You know, here's your air mask, and the flotation device. That's a non-smoking flight. Understood. We got it. Been up there for an hour and a half. I got a few Jack Daniels down there, and for no reason, it's not that anyone's lit up. No one's trying to be sneaky. No one has disarmed the smoke alarm in the bathroom. None of that stuff. But we wanted to remind you this is a non-smoking flight. Like, dude, now I want a cigarette. Like, I'm not thinking about it because I tried to put this out of my head. An hour and a half after that, just one more time. We know you're Nick fitting hard. Man.
Yeah.
You just like shut up because you don't come back on and say, hey, here's a reminder of what happens when your air mask comes down. Either go through the whole goddamn thing again, or just, we get it.
Well, the rules have changed over the years, right? So, like, when I was a dipper, it wasn't illegal then, but now they specifically say like smokeless tobacco isn't allowed either.
Sure.
But I had a friend, and I thought this was ingenious. He just had a little, like, pill bottle. So it looked like he was just opening it up to, like, take a prescription.
Oh.
That's thinking.
I see what he's doing there.
Now, last time I was on a plane, all right, I am, maybe, you know, they say, like, the plane's going to start its descent here shortly.
Sure. Yeah.
It's probably a 45-minute process, right?
Still, it's such a highlight.
It takes a long time, you know what I mean? Your ears are popping and everything else. Last flight I was on, I had to go to the bathroom. Not too bad. I think at this point in time, I'm pretty sure I can hold it. But I didn't realize how long that descent was going to take. Right. Anyway, they make the announcement. We're getting ready to descend. The bathrooms will be locked.
Oh, wow.
They will be locked in like a couple minutes here. So if you got to get up, go. And I thought, man, I'm good. I can take this. I can handle it. No problem.
If you tell yourself that.
Those bastards lock the doors, right? But you got to remember something. This plane's empty. I mean, it is empty.
Right.
There's nobody on this plane. So I look up. I got a clear shot of first class. The only reason I'm looking at the first class is because the flight attendant's just smoking hot. Right?
That's why she's in first class.
Yeah, so I'm just checking her out the whole time like, God damn. Anyway, but I'm paying way too much attention to first class. Then I see this first class person, right? Mm-hmm. He gets up and slowly strolls into the bathroom, which is not locked in first class. Mm-hmm. All right? Apparently, if you're a secondary, citizen.
Yeah, if you're flying coach, if you're garbage.
You can't poop or pee, but if you're first class, you can. So this just kind of gets me. I'm just like, I've got to go, man. So I go to the back. They are locked.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, okay, do I break the rule of, passing that partition, going up and using the bathroom? Decided not to do that because I didn't want to get yelled at. But I just thought to myself, if I'm first class, I can still pee right now.
Right. These rules don't apply to you.
These are the rules where I go, who the F made these rules? These are some stupid-ass rules.
Remember, in first class, as soon as they close the door to the plane, you have not taken off yet. They just close the door. You're taxiing down the runway. You already have a drink in your hand.
I know that.
When you're back in coach, you're waiting for that drink cart to get rolling, and that's deep into your 30 minutes.
That's where you lose with your seat choice, Ted, because you're the last one that gets a drink.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
the thing, man.
But I don't have to pee.
Yeah. But that's part of you're way more patient than I am. You know what I mean? Because 33 rows just got hooked up, and you're still sitting there thirsty.
I am.
And you see it coming the whole time, and it's a slow process.
You had 6 in the airport bar.
Yeah, I was going to say, like there's no, and I just hate annoying people. So I'm just I'll sit back here, I can get up and pee whenever I want.
know, but
and also I know you're not supposed to, but I kind of like getting up once an hour.
Stretching.
But when you're in the back, it's just easy. Kind of pop up.
Yeah.
And also, sometimes you sit in the back.
You talk and chat it up a little bit.
Well, as you say, also the flight attendants have noticed that you're sitting back there. And we're very patient when you were waiting.
Right.
And the patience sometimes pays off.
Yes, it does, by reaching into the drawer, handing you a couple things to put in your pocket before you go back to your seat.
I learned that from Daniel LaRusso.
I figured it out when I had a kid and he peed on my lap, and I guess the look on my face said, I will kill everyone on this plane. And the flight attendant just came up and handed me 4 jacks and just said, you look like you could use them. And I'm like, oh my God.
I love you.
Thank you so much.
I love you so much.
Thank you.
Or switch, trust me. Because it's generally just me flying by myself, so I'm that person. If a seat needs to be changed or whatever,
sure.
I always volunteer,
Yeah.
and then, generally they'll hook you up with something.
I always volunteer because it makes my wife and kids crazy, right? Because we have all our seats together. Do we have volunteers to switch? I'm like, oh, hell yeah, man, I'll do it.
Hell yes.
But I was like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm just being nice.
Well, I've seen full-on breakdowns between, like a mom that couldn't sit with the kids and this and that, and other people are like, oh, I'm not going to move and this and that. It's like, what the hell do I care?
What an aisle seat.
Listen.
Like there's 3, there's a dad, 2 kids, right? Or mom and 2 kids, and the dad is up 2 rows up across the aisle, right? So I'm in the seat where he could look over and talk to his wife.
He doesn't
across
want
the
to
aisle.
be there.
I know.
I was going to say,
but
look, man.
The wife asked the flight attendant if it would be okay to ask me if I wouldn't mind switching seats.
No. I want to hear that your husband watches because he does. Otherwise, you know what the husband would have done? He would have said, hey, man, excuse me, I'm sorry. That's my wife and kids sitting directly across. Because that's all you need to do. And most people go, okay, so if he has an ad, he doesn't want to sit there.
So the flight attendant, he taps me on the shoulder and says, sir, do you mind moving that way that this family can kind of sit together and 4 seats, even though an aisle divides, 2. And I'm like, absolutely, no problem. So I start collecting my stuff. I get up and I'm taking he's like, no, leave the bag there, man. Well, it's only a couple rows. I'm like, all right, cool. This guy turns around and he just looked at me. And I looked at him and I just gave him this wry smile like, how you doing?
Yeah.
Because he was sitting beside a hottie.
Of course. I mean, look, Ted, you just said some woman's freaking out. You can't sit next to her kids. And my first thought was, she's never flown on the plane with her kids before. If they said to me, hey, man, we're sorry, but your kids are, different road, different aisle, I'm like, cool. I have 0 problem with this, man. Because, look, at home, it's one thing, but there is space there. You can make things work out for everyone. On a plane, it just is what it is. And after 2.5 hours, kids start to break. They've gotten better as they've gotten older, but look, they start to break down. I'll be honest with you. I don't feel like dealing with their S. I really don't.
My kids are 13, 14 years old, all right? So they're very young in my mind, but they're teenagers, right?
Sure.
But just a different world than we live in. So we were flying somewhere, I think back to the East Coast for an Ocean City vacation, whatever the deal was. And we got all 4 tickets and all that stuff. My kids have roller luggage. They have everything packed into the appropriate size bag. They have neck rolls. They have their headphones. They have their little handheld games or whatever they're going to play with. I don't think they had phones at that point in time, but they had all their stuff. They had snacks. They had drinks. So we roll up to do the TSA thing, right? So I'm like looking for my kid for a minute, and I'm like, where in the hell's Ava? And she was pre-screened with her sister. So they went through the pre-screen line.
Right.
And basically, they're already halfway through security. Like, I'm in this line like I'm about ready to get on Pirates of the Caribbean.
Right.
You know what I mean? This thing is winding and winding and winding and winding. And they're like just waiting. You know what I mean?
We take each other.
Yeah, like, are you not pre-screened? I'm like, no, I'm not pre-screened.
Yeah, the world has changed, man.
You know?
Because when we got on a plane, there's no chance I had both of my kids have neck rolls, and I'm like, you're not even old enough to be sore, right?
But or to want to sleep on a plane. Like your life is so hard.
My son has the eye thing. He's all about that, right? I'm like, Are you 98 goddamn years old, man? Like, dude, and right, they have the games. I'm like, when I used to fly, first of all, they gave you food that you didn't pay for.
They did give you wings.
Which, I got wings when I got on the plane. That blew their mind.
That was cool.
They were like, what? I said, yeah, man, you got on a plane, and if you're a kid, I got the wings that had the symbol for the airline. They gave you free food on the flight, right, including peanuts, because apparently peanut allergy has only happened in the last 20 years. But also, you were bored.
No.
You had a crossword puzzle. We didn't have games and neck rolls and iPads. So the fact that you were pissing and moaning being on this flight makes me want to kill you.
The fact of the matter is the wings were the coolest thing for a kid.
Yes, it was.
Even as an adult, I scored some wings, and it was awesome. Because I bitched about it on the air, and somebody sent me some, right?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
From Alaska, which was really nice. Either way, it's the same philosophy as like... And not to get into this too much, because it's just part of my history as far as being a graduate of BKU, all right? Okay. But the idea of getting people inside the restaurant, one of the biggest gimmicks was, like with McDonald's, they had a Happy Meal.
Yeah.
All right? Burger King really wasn't on that tip as much. It was the Crown.
The Crown, man, yeah.
And if you were a kid and you went in there, but keep in mind, I mean, you looked out into the restaurant where we opened, and there's 20-year-olds. Everybody's got a crown.
Everybody wants a crown.
If the crown is there, you take the crown.
Yes.
You put it together, you wear the crown.
Wouldn't you do it now?
Yes, that's what you do.
Is that, would you like a crown? Of course I would.
Yes, and you wear it the entire time you eat, and you embarrass all your friends or your family, whatever. That's what you do. And it's like, to me, the wings were the equivalent.
They were that. They really were.
Burger King crown. Like, this is really cool. I'm wearing this crown. As soon as I get the lapel, I'm putting it right on my shirt.
Instantly.
Yeah.
It was the most important. And you got a deck of cards. You got a deck of cards. You got the wings. If it was early enough in the boarding process, if you were young, I remember pilots, would you like to see the cockpit?
Yeah.
You're 8 years old, like, hell yeah, man.
Come on up here, Timmy.
Yeah, it didn't matter. Now it's like the cockpit door is locked.
Yeah, right.
What was the most unique rule of the house growing up? 206-421-ROCK.
Hello, Sean. Welcome to the men's room.
Sean, are you there?
Hola.
Hola, guys. Yeah, so when we were kids, I'm 49. I was raised by my grandparents, and my grandma had a rule: if you're under 18, you're not allowed to talk at the dinner table.
Damn.
If you're under 18, you're not allowed to talk.
She would fill up a glass of cold water right before dinner, and she would set it right at her right hand. And if you were under 18 and you spoke when the adults were talking, she'd take that glass of cold water and she'd throw it right in your face.
Wow.
Okay.
Man.
That's pretty heavy duty.
Now, did she live long enough for you to turn 18 where you could actually speak?
Yeah. Yeah, 18, or you didn't have an opinion in that house.
So what if it was like Thanksgiving or something where everybody's talking, or as my mom says, everyone's lying to each other? But could you speak then, or did you have to go to the separate kids' table and that was it?
Yeah, so there were kids' tables. We'd go to my great-grandma's, and there'd be tables set up in the basement, and the kids had their own section.
They did. And guess what? You're not a kid. You might be a kid when you sit there when you're
the
5.
youngest.
Somebody hadn't died yet.
That's all.
That's how that chair situation worked. And a large Italian family.
It's like the Supreme Court.
It really
if you
was.
don't die, you're not, I remember sitting there with my 8-year-old cousin, and I'm 21. Like, God damn it.
We had they ended up being a college table. Yeah. Like all of us were 18, 19 years old. Now we're drinking beer at this little tiny, it's the same small table.
It's always the card table.
It's a small table.
It's that same card table.
You had to bring it out. Yeah. I mean, you got the temporary crap, but we're in college. And we're like, how long is this crap going to continue? Like, who gets moved up? Because we're all the same age.
It was the same way in my family. Like, Barbara Timmy's, like you had to make the big table or you stay at the little table. But then a couple of us were smart enough to kind of wait it out.
Uh-huh.
And then people at the big table were getting jealous because the kids' table, same thing. We were above age. He was getting rowdy.
Exactly. Right. And then once my cousin, she was the first person to move up because she was grandmother's favorite kid.
Does she stop talking to you guys? Is there this clear now class distinction? Like, oh, I'm sorry, fellas, I'm sitting at the adult table.
She was back in 5 minutes.
Oh, really?
She was back in 5 minutes.
Yep, same thing with my sister.
5 minutes.
She bitched and moaned enough that she got to that table and then was crying, no, I want to be at the other table. We were like, no, only 4 spots here at the kids' table.
Two aunts who are sisters are just basically not bickering but disagreeing.
Right.
And that's going to their mother, and the father's just sitting there trying to be quiet, and it's just, this whole dynamic, and it's just this is not what I thought it was going to be. I thought this was going to be like adults, and it turns out the kids are having more adult
conversations than the adults.
You know, be more civil than these idiots in here who are, you know what I mean, kind of fighting about whatever, not just bickering, just nitpicking.
But it's constant.
Right, and it's a family thing, right? So they're always going to pick up on the same little things and annoy each other.
It's been a year, and their conversation picks up exactly where it left off to continue whatever goddamn argument they've been having, incidentally, for 12 years. You're like, oh my God, guys, can you maybe just make a phone call to each other and sort this out before next year?
By the way, one person's going to say something that's going to piss you off. Let it go.
Let it go. Let it go.
Don't
fall into the trap.
And both of those grandparents, they were great grandparents. They passed on, and I never made it to the adult table.
You never made it?
Just like like going to a public pool as an adult and being able to enjoy adult swim.
Yeah,
never done.
It's like an Eagle Scout. You got so close, but you never made it. I at least sat at the adult table.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
That's my Eagle Scout.
Well, that's why summertime parties were fun. Because anybody could sit at the adult table.
Yeah.
Or eat outside.
The more the parents drink, the cooler it is.
Eat in the living room.
Coming up, the return of Who Sucks Less. You are listening to The Men's Room.
New on Curiosity Stream.
Just because it hasn't been done before doesn't mean you can't.
Watch Earth's greatest minds forge our path to a better tomorrow. It's engineering the future. And Jaws, Star Wars, The Godfather, E.T. The biggest movies have even bigger music. From King Kong to The Dark Knight. See how musicians scored Hollywood's greatest hits on great film composers' music of the movies. Watch now on Curiosity Stream. Annual plans are $20, just $1.67 a month. Visit CuriosityStream.com.
This podcast is brought to you by the Washington State Department of Health. When we think about the COVID-19 vaccine hesitancy in the Black community, let's remember, it didn't happen by chance. It's justified in history. But the will to change the narrative is strong today, and our people are lending their voices to the conversation. We're sharing our stories and the reasons that made us choose the vaccine so we can lead the way for others to make a well-informed choice too. To hear our stories, visit hereforuswa.org.